Thank you for tuning in to All About the Girls, the podcast. We're your host, me, Jenny Craig Brown, interviews incredible women to learn what powers them, what inspires them, and how they make our world a better place. Let's get to it. Welcome, everybody, to All About the Girls, the podcast. I am excited and honored to introduce our guest this month, Dana Frank. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, if you don't know Dana, she is the marketing director for HRM, which, what does it stand for again?
Heritage Restaurant Management Group.
Thank you. I knew I would mess that up. Otherwise known as restaurants like Blockhead, Ricochet Tacos, and Tomato Bar. So I think everybody knows those.
Oh, yes.
Well, welcome. I'll dive right in.
Sure.
Tell us about Dana Frank. Who are you? Your background, your family. Give us some input.
Sure. I'm originally from Evergreen Park, Illinois. I now live in Miller Beach, Indiana with my husband, dog, 3 cats, and my 11-year-old stepson.
Love.
Yeah, I do the marketing for all of our restaurants, so most people associate me with social media.
Yes.
But it's a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, marketing tends to lend itself to mean social media,
yes.
But the people doing it always know, and the 50 steps before that.
Yeah,
definitely.
So tons go into it. I started my marketing career, I guess you would say, with a structural engineering group in
Great.
Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I started that while I was still in college. Okay. I started with them just doing data entry.
Interesting.
And then after 13 years became the marketing director or the marketing and communications director. I don't remember my exact title at the time.
That's a big leap. Obviously it took 13 years as well. Was that like literally from one to the other, or was it a kind of slow build?
It was definitely a slow build. It was kind of like 3 days a week, like 9 hours total.
Wow.
Data entry, and then doing the I became like a graphic design intern because I was going to school for graphic design. So seeking an internship, I was sort of like, okay, I could either become your intern or I'll have to go seek out an internship. And so it worked out well because I continued to get paid there, get my graphic design internship done, and then stay on with that company.
Perfect.
Yeah. Still doing graphic design, then into communications, and then marketing and communications. Yeah.
Impressive. And you mentioned you are in Miller now, and you're from Evergreen Park. How did you come from Chicago to Indiana?
Tinder.
Go Tinder, go!
Yeah.
Good. So you and your husband met on Tinder?
Yes.
Okay, love that. And you were there and he was in Miller?
He was in Crown Point.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had met, and I guess it was kind of like love at first swipe or whatever.
Okay, yeah. I love this so much. Tell me more.
Yeah, we met, chatted for a few weeks, and then had our first date at a bar in Blue Island called Rock Island Public House. Where we eventually got married, or we eloped at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, full circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like 6 months in or something, I was kind of like, okay, well, I could see this being serious or whatever. So I made the jump to Indiana. I moved first to St. John.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was miserable getting from St. John to Chicago, where
I was just going to ask you, were still commuting? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So getting down 41 to the East Chicago station was a nightmare.
No one wants to do that.
No. So then after a while,
and then you're still not even St. John to Crown Point's not great. Like, it's still kind of a pain in the butt. So both travel was tough.
Yeah, it was not fun. And so eventually, like we settled down. Moved to Portage, and then we were like, okay, we want to like buy a full-time house or whatever. And his goal area was Miller, and we looked out and found our house. It hadn't even hit the market yet, and the previous owners had moved to Germany, so they left everything behind.
Like fully furnished.
Well, I guess not like fully furnished, but like full appliances, like nicer things that like I would ever like look into, like the kind of dryer that makes like spaceship noises.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You're like pushing all the buttons.
It sounds like a spaceship, like gearing up.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So you moved out here, and then tell me about Miller. How'd you get there? Why Miller? And I love Miller.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that too.
Sure. So, my husband is like a beach guy, like for sure. I was never a beach person. I mean, living in like the suburbs, the closest beach was in Chicago or Indiana, and my parents were never like travelers or whatever. So we moved to Miller to be super close to the beach, and now our house is like backdoor to beachfront. It's like 4 minutes. So I'm a speedy walker though. So, but
maybe 6 minutes.
Yeah, depending.
But that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
now he has kind of the beach right down the street for you, for him.
Yeah. And I've definitely become like a beach person
really?
now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, winter is like total like energy suck, and it's like, all right, we could hear the waves from our house over like the last couple of days because the weather's been and I'm like,
it sounds so great, but we know it's cold out there.
Yeah, wishing for those warm summer days.
Yeah. Now, will you guys go out there in the winter like this? Like, will you go out, like, if it's a 50-degree day, like, it's been kind of nice recently? Or do you just, like, no, it's cold. Call me when it's 80.
Yeah, kind of. Like, we'll take, like, walks. Like, I do it with the dog, so it's an excuse to, like, get out and go for a stroll on the beach, and it is nice. But I hate the cold so much.
Okay.
It is a struggle to get me outside. Like,
I understand.
In the winter months, for sure.
I've kind of created a strong effort, I guess you could say, on hating the cold less.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing, I did a couple challenges last year that kind of allowed me it forced me, I guess, to go outside in the cold.
Yeah.
So now I hate it less.
Okay.
I don't love it by any means, but I hate it less, and I think it's been a good kind of a lesson in, okay, if you dress for the weather, number one, it does suck less.
Yeah.
But it's still not my favorite by any means. But I can tolerate it now without being like super sad.
For sure. I think like every time I go out, I think about my commute in Chicago when I was walking like train to office 20 minutes, and it was just like you could bundle up as much.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's terrible. And like Windy City for a reason, right? It's cold and it's always
you turn
the worst.
A corner and
like get blown over.
Yeah. See you later.
You mentioned 3 cats?
Yes.
Tell me, number one, do you consider yourself a cat lady or no?
I guess so.
Like you're into it?
I've just like always like loved cats.
Me too.
So like, I don't know. I guess like I've like leaned into it.
And obviously no judgment. I have 4 cats.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Trust me.
And like I grew up with a dog, and then when I turned 15, I got a cat as a birthday gift.
Okay.
This is her.
Oh, and it's a tattoo.
Yeah.
You're cute.
Yeah. So when she passed away, I was like, oh, I can't get another one. And then, obviously we've collected some, but it was like that he found us sort of thing.
Yeah.
Darren was driving to work, and just a little tiny cat on the side of the road was just like there. We took him to a vet. He was only 5.5 weeks old, I think, weighed like 2 pounds.
Aww.
And then after that, we were like, oh, we need to get like him a friend. And so now we have a orange boy who has like a nubbin for a tail.
Okay.
And then we were like, okay, a third one. We're gonna get like a senior lady. And we went to pick her up.
A mom, if you will. Yeah.
She did not like us.
Aww.
So we did end up with a little one. We call her like the potato, because she's like this big and like, I don't know, just round. And and weighs like 6 pounds. We call her name's Wasabi, which is perfect because she has quite a spicy attitude. So it like worked out well.
You're like, okay, attitude fits the name. It's perfect.
Yes.
Super cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like only 2 of the cats like our dog. The little one it's a no-go.
Not into it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And does that cause some problem?
Just a lot of like yelling.
Okay.
Kind of.
Like, you quit doing it. It's like a mom. You're like, okay, you and you stop fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. So like the dog kind of like, she'll go up and try to sniff her, and then just the cat will, Wasabi will
take
just
a swig.
like, yeah.
Okay.
Part ways, and that's that.
I understand this life.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can't do dogs. I just the dogs and the cat together scare the hell out of me because I think of all of those reasons. Like one of them's gonna hurt the other one, and it gets very expensive.
Yeah, they all kind of like mind their own business otherwise. So I mean, like it's like no big deal. But like our dog is a Great Pyrenees, so you know she has some herding mentality in her. So she'll like mostly try to herd me and like not the cats. So she's like, I would like you to go this way.
Come on over here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I've not seen that with dogs and people.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to wrap my 90-pound body around yours.
And you're going to go where I tell you.
Yes. She like tries to push me in certain directions.
She's probably a little successful because 90 pounds is not small.
Yeah. When Darren showed me her, I was like, this dog? This one? She weighs like almost
as much as me?
Yeah. But she's great now. So we're going on like 3 years with her now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. In Miller, what else do you love about Miller? So the beach is right there. What else have you explored in Miller that you found really cool?
Not much.
Okay.
We're like mostly beach people. I know there's trails. I will walk some of the trails with the dog.
And you're taking the dogs out.
Yeah. But it's like obviously like weather oriented. So like she loves winter. I hate winter. I love summer. She hates summer.
Of course.
So, you know,
fall is wonderful.
Yes, fall is great.
Everyone loves the outside and it's glorious. Okay, good.
Yeah. We just recently kind of started eating out more in the area.
Okay.
So hitting up like Miller Pizza and
Miller
the
Pizza's
Beach
great.
Cafe, I think. And Flamingo has always been a favorite of ours.
Yeah,
so,
I know some folks that love Flamingo. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Good. You pointed out your tattoo, so let's go this route. I definitely wanted to touch on this. You said you were an open book, so tell me if I'm being weird. You have a lot of tattoos. Do you know how many?
No, I have no idea.
No clue.
I started counting hours, and then I lost track of that.
Okay, so a lot.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites or the most meaningful, I suppose is a good question.
So I guess like most meaningful is probably like my Philly related tattoos. I have her paw print behind one of my ears.
Oh, this is the cat that you got when you were 15.
Yes. Yeah. So she was with me through like some really hard times.
Yeah.
And like when she passed, I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna get through? Like
this is my bestie.
Yeah. So I have her on my hand and then her paw print behind my ear. And then when I was a baby in my like nursery, my mom themed it carousel horses.
Okay.
So I have a carousel horse on my shoulder for like my mom and stuff like that.
How sweet.
But like one of my favorite ones, and it's, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, tattoos have to mean something.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
So I'm like, oh yeah.
Maybe just because you like something.
Yeah. I always tell them, oh, the 14-boobed snake I have on my leg means so much to me.
And you don't really have a 14-boob snake,
Oh, I do.
Shut up! Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I thought this was just a joke.
No.
So tell me how the 14-boob snake came.
So the tattoo place I used to go to, they've since closed down, unfortunately.
Okay.
They had an anniversary party where they were doing, is this a swearing podcast?
You can swear, yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
They were doing shitty tattoos and good tattoos. So
and you could just get a shitty tattoo if you wanted one.
Yeah, it was a raffle. So you
Okay.
entered the raffle, a shitty tattoo for $1 per ticket, and then a good one for $5, I think it was.
Okay.
So
that's really fun.
Yeah. So the shitty tattoo I ended up winning was originally a snake with 12 boobs, and then the artist was like, "Okay, let me redraw this," and she gained a pair.
Okay, so now it's 14.
14.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you're like, listen,
It's one of my favorites.
You don't want to know that story.
Yeah.
Trust me. And everyone's like, oh God, what is wrong with this person?
Yeah. It's so funny. And I like,
you throw people off completely.
I obviously used to work in like a pretty corporate job setting. And so like when I would wear like dresses or skirts, I would for a second think about it, and I'm like, I don't know, if they're looking that closely at the back of my legs,
stop looking
then,
at my leg.
then we'll have a different conversation.
Then I can ask them about their problem with my leg.
Exactly.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So corporate background, great kind of transition into that world. I want to talk a little bit more about that. That is, you're exactly right, very corporate world prior to what you're doing now. Obviously, we know how you got there. How different is that from your today? And what do you love about now? And is there anything that you loved more about the corporate world?
Let's see. Like, so obviously setting, it's completely different.
Because that was like Chicago office building.
Yeah.
And now you're probably like, I think you're in and out of the restaurants and remote mostly, or tell me what that looks like now.
Yeah, so I'm like 99.5% remote. So just working like straight from my living room, and that works great for me. And then like, 0.5%, I'm like popping into the restaurants when I can. It's like living in Miller, we're like half an hour away from everything. So taking like an hour out of my day to go somewhere is sometimes a huge chunk of time.
Like what else could I do instead?
Yeah, yeah. Whereas when I did work for the structural engineering group, we started on Michigan Avenue.
Wow.
I had my own office with like my own door.
13th floor, or whatever it is. Yeah.
And then, so we started there, and then we moved to a temporary office space, and then we moved to the Civic Opera building.
Wow.
And so like, during those times, my boss was like, oh, he's like, you're not phased? And I was like, no, like I could work from anywhere. I don't know. Like an office isn't what makes my like work ethic.
Right. I don't need the office to have like, get my job done.
Yeah,
I can do it wherever
exactly.
and be responsible. And,
I was just like, give me a computer.
Because I think some people are like, we've seen, especially nowadays, a lot of people want to work remote, but who can work remote is different than who wants to work remote sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who can do that well. Some people just are easily distracted, or like for me, it's like, oh, the laundry, I could just go switch it, and I really try to create that boundary.
Exactly.
Working remote. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, like in that corporate setting, it was like, sort of stuffy. You had to have like business casual. And like the commute was a killer. It was from Illinois or Indiana, either way, it was an hour and a half both ways. So,
and you said when you were in St. John, you were taking the train in. So you'd go up, get on the train, take that in, walk, then come back, and then come back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and when I lived in Illinois, I was taking the L, but it still took the same amount of time. It was just a bit more flexible than following like the South Shore.
Yeah, if you miss that one, you're in trouble.
Yes.
That one, there's another one.
And I'm perpetually running late. So especially like after like COVID and stuff, I'm like, haven't had to be anywhere.
Go anywhere. Yeah, on time constraint.
Yes.
Like I don't want any of this. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then anything that you love about the corporate world that you miss, and that could be a no. It doesn't have to be an answer.
There were like some perks that like came around with it, like fun like corporate events and stuff. That maybe some people like don't think are fun.
I'm knocking stuff over. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Just
like
taking things.
Trade shows and things like that, fun. Which obviously I still have access to, but it's hard. They're harder to find now
for this industry versus that one. Yeah.
Even though like we were still in sort of like the hospitality industry, sort of, because we were membership based at the Structural Engineering Association.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's a big switch. So let's talk about now, which we have to bring these up. So Ricochet Tacos, Tomato Bar, everyone loves. All of these people love. She brought, if you're not on YouTube, you should be. She brought me these amazing, cool pins from Ricochet Tacos. This one is a wizard. The taco wizard, I would assume.
Yes.
And this cool hand with really great nails. And a hand tattoo.
Yes.
Is this after you?
No.
Is this modeled after someone?
Spellbound did the graphic for that. Okay. They're located in Valparaiso also, and I do not remember her name, but she always has these badass nails.
Obviously.
And so she was like, I used my own hand as a model. And I was like, oh my God, I love that.
Okay, and I don't know Spellbound. Give them a shout out. Who are they? Tell us a little bit about them.
Spellbound is a local print shop and graphic design studio.
Neat, okay.
They are located right by Dagger Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they are on Instagram. I don't know their exact handle.
I'm sure we can find them though. That's
look
great.
Up Spellbound.
Yes, please.
You got it.
And her awesome nails. That is really cool. Good. Well, thank you for these. Again, second podcast gift. You guys, I'm getting stuff. I'm feeling pretty fancy. I'm pretty excited about it. So current career, working with Ricochet, Tomato Bar, Blockhead. Are you the one actually making all those? Are you the person behind the social media?
I am.
So I love this so much because that's hard. And being a company in social media, we know how hard that is. Most folks, whether it's upkeeping their own social media or for a business, know several posts a day is tough. But you're doing several posts a day because you're doing several restaurants. So it's not even several posts, but it's several different unique posts every day. Like, how do you do all of that you're doing and keep that going and keep it interesting?
I don't know, honestly.
I don't either, honestly. It's so intense.
Yeah.
And we see with our team, we post 16 times a day minimum.
Wow.
Because we've got our 4 sites, 4 posts a day. Like, that's minimum. And then if we have basketball games or any other coverage or anything, there's extra. So, and they do a great job. I'm so thankful for them, but it's gotta be hard to just be like, and I'm gonna be really crafty and creative with this post about pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a new pizza, but that's the only difference from yesterday's post.
Yeah. I lead a lot on tools online, I think. So if I don't have a caption that pops into my head, I'll look up goofy Instagram captions about pizza. Just kind of pulling that idea from elsewhere and kind of compiling something that works for you. Yeah, and then taking it and changing the language to fit our vibe better and stuff. Yeah,
because you guys have a full vibe. It's very obvious. It's felt throughout. It's a little different from each, which again, it's so hard to say. But this is Tomato Bar, not Ricochet, so it has to be this vibe versus this one. And while they're similar, they are different.
Yeah,
and it's just. So you do it really well. It's incredible. And I just know how tough it is. So, and how those vibes or that feel of each restaurant, who do you feel created that? Is that from your social media? Is that from the artist that did the art within? Is it something that the owners and the team behind it did? Where did that come from?
I think our social media pages definitely have an impact on the vibes that we're putting out and stuff. And it took a minute when I started with Ricochet before the rest of them. So when I was still working in Chicago, I started doing Ricochet's social media. I don't even know how long ago now. And so it was kind of just bland and one tone, I guess. And so when Darren took over as the chef there, he kind of, comes in with this more attitude-filled kind of deal. And so we wanted the social media to fit that.
Yeah, if he's the head chef, let's mimic that because that's going to be shown in the product.
Yeah.
So let's mimic that in the social because that's displaying the product.
Yeah, kind of take this sort of punk rock feel and bring it into things like that, but just really nice looking aesthetic photos.
Yeah. The photography is fantastic.
Yeah.
And is that you? Is that him? Is it somebody else?
It's somebody else. So we've recently started working with Wesley Mogul, I think you pronounce. And I'm sorry, Wesley, if that's not how you pronounce your last name. But he is
But it sounds good, so it's fine.
Wedding photographer from Michigan who is also breaking into and starting to want to do more food photography. And so I saw his photos for the Falls Front in Michigan, and they just had a really great feel. And I was like, hey, I would love to work with you.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
And we have talked before, you guys work with, you have a lot of kind of community partnerships like that, where it's like, hey, I saw this local person that does this really great thing, let's work together. Why is that so important to you guys as a company and for you as a marketer?
I just think in general, like, working within your community is like a great, I don't know, way to operate. You know, it gives, if other people in the community know that you're working within the community, they're like more likely to support you, and then also continue to support other people within the community, I guess. So it's kind of like, I don't know, just a better ladder of support, I think.
And I think in this region, probably even more so, where maybe if that's Chicago, people don't care so much, but here, like, the community is like, oh, look, they're working with that person local, they have a partnership here and here. I love them, and that they do that.
Yeah.
And it's really, this community is so close-knit that I think they strive on that.
Yeah.
And they want to do business more with you because you are that way.
I agree.
It's important.
Just like having like those connections too. It's like a little bit of like, you know, oh, I hadn't heard of them, but if they're working together, then, you know.
And the people, so same thing, and I want to get back to the punk rock vibe you mentioned too, so I'll go back there as well. The people within all of those restaurants, not all of them have a punk rock vibe per se, but they all have a really cool, everyone there seems cool, but they're also really nice. How hard is it to fill a team of that size, especially in the restaurant business? And like in the industry during a pandemic? You guys have, I think, some of the best service across all of the restaurants.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And your team is amazing. I've been into, specifically, actually all three, where a server remembered me. One gentleman even remembered my name.
Love that.
And he had a mask on and he was like, it's me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this person remembers me, and I'm so excited. But same thing at Ricochet, there's a bar or a server there that remembers me and knows me and enjoys it, and just, he said to me the one day, like, I haven't seen you in a while. That sort of thing is really impactful. How do you know how that happens so well, and how you keep those folks, and how you find them, and how you bring them in, and how they fit that culture so well?
So I don't know if I could speak to it fully, but I know like we have great retention for employees throughout like all of our brands. So like that's huge. And I think like the work environment is pretty positive. And so that obviously helps with retention, and it helps bring in other people when other people need to leave on whatever basis they are leaving the restaurant business for. There have only been a couple of times where we've been like hurting for, you know, more people to join our team, and it was like right after the pandemic and stuff. So it was like everybody was like, where are employees?
Literally everyone was like, please someone come work for us. Yeah, it was really tough for a while there. Okay.
And we do like operate some pretty younger teams. So obviously at some point people are going to leave to go to school.
Yeah, the service industry in general, it's always going to be a little bit of turnover. Like there's always going to be a higher turnover. There's always going to, because you've got those younger folks, they've got a lot of different things happening in their life. Same for us a little bit. Like our field team tends to be those younger students who are in college or fresh out of college, so they're still making a lot of other changes. So I think the same for you guys. That's going to happen, and how do you make it the best, and how do you make it and you guys have found whatever you're doing, it's working perfectly. Like you guys have great teams. I've never had a bad person help me there.
Love that.
That's fantastic. So
that's
keep
great.
it up, whatever
Thank
that is.
you. We actually got an email this morning with
cool.
somebody complimenting the service at all of our restaurants too.
Aww.
So
That
it was
means
like
a
really
ton.
great. Yeah.
And as you guys know, 10 people will say it's bad before the one person that says it's good, because everybody wants to complain a lot.
I have big opinions about reviews, but
you're like, if you give me one bad, you have to go give someone a good one. It has to be a rule.
Pay off somewhere.
Like I think it is true though. We've all had that moment where like, man, it's really good service. Or I love that person remembered me. I didn't give the review either, so we should do that more. I don't do the bad ones either, but
I feel that.
That's a good point. Everyone, go tell your server they rock.
I was going to say, everyone's New Year's resolution for 2023, good reviews only.
Good reviews only. Like, tell the restaurant owner or the business owner if it's bad, so that they can potentially fix it. tell the world when it's good.
Yeah. Send us an email. All of the emails are like on our websites.
Plus, all of your restaurants allowed to buy the staff beer.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've done that, and then they ring the bell, and then everybody cheers, and you feel really cool.
It's so fun.
I
love it. I've seen people who come in having like a terrible day, and they're like, I'll get around or how many people are working, and they'll get a whole round.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, something about the ringing the bell, the cheering, like
it just gets everybody, it lifts everybody a little bit.
Yes, yeah. I've also seen kids do it, like asking their parents,
buying them a beer.
Yeah, like, hey,
that kid is my spirit animal.
Yeah, I love it. It's so funny. Like, oh, okay.
And do they actually get the beer later? Like, do they ever sit down and like they're so busy, I would assume, like, who sits down and says, give me one of those free ones?
Yeah, I think usually like at the end of their shift. I think at most of the restaurants it's like right at the end or like an hour before or something. I don't know exactly their rules, but yeah.
It's fantastic. So going back to punk rock, you mentioned Ricochet has this punk rock vibe. Mm-hmm. We've talked prior to this podcast about your love for punk.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your love for punk. I think it's you and your husband. Like you and Darren both have this kind of punk love.
Yes.
Where'd that come from? Was it both of yours and that was one of the things that connected you so well? Was it one and then the other kind of latched on? Tell me about that background and then tell us a little bit about your love for that music and what music you love.
Sure.
Or maybe what groups are within that.
So I learned a lot of the bands I still listen to today, like through boyfriends in high school, or like my main boyfriend in high school, I think. And so kind of just like continued on. I was like, oh, okay, this is the music for me. And then just continued on like adding more and more in like different genres, like ska punk or like pop punk and I guess punk.
Yeah, very punky punk.
The punkest way I hate to say it is the punkiest punk.
The punkiest punk. Done? That's official?
Yeah.
If anybody needs to know, that's the best way to say that.
Yeah.
The punkiest way.
People are going to be like, oh, get this girl out of here. She doesn't know anything.
Listen, if they're not into punk and they don't know you, then they're not cool, so it's fine.
So like, I just kind of like added on to like over the years, listening more and more, and then when I met Darren, he said he like hadn't like listened to a lot of like new music, and so I was kind of like, here,
let me help you.
Take all of this and now listen to this.
Look what I have.
Yeah, because he's like what I always call him is a hardcore kid.
Okay.
And so like I guess there's a big mid-size, I don't know. Again, people are going to come for me for this one.
Don't worry about it.
The hardcore scene.
We're the positive people. Most people don't come for us.
Okay.
You're okay.
Like there's a hardcore scene in Indiana, so people are like know him through that.
And this is more like hardcore, like meaning like more hardcore rock, or like not like there's not like a hardcore punk I'm not aware of.
Oh, I guess like
more of like the like angry rock music?
Yes.
Is that fair to say? Okay,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where did you know? I was like, oh, I don't like really screamy stuff.
I used to when I was like the angsty teenager. Now I'm like, I don't know, maybe I got a little soft. Yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Well, I think like now I've like grown into more of it.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, because I would go to shows with him because he was coming to shows with me. So I was like, oh, okay, I could get like down with this stuff. So now it's like a melding of music.
Love.
And like when we started dating, I was like, just so you know, like my only hobby, I think, is like going to shows.
Okay.
And so like actually the first podcast I was ever on was because I would go to like 3 shows a month. So like
this is like your weekend thing.
Yeah, like 30 shows like a year probably. So he was like, how are you doing this? What shows have you seen? Let's do a ranking or whatever.
Yeah, there's an endless questionnaire. Like there's so many like who have you seen and how many times have you seen them and where did you go and what's your favorite? Yeah. That's like amazing.
Talking about venues, bands, whatever.
Yeah.
We've definitely slowed it down now in our older age.
Don't say old. They will come for you then.
Oh, I know. I'm like 33 and they're like, I'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I'm like, listen, I'm 39.
Yeah. No, Darren is 39, so he's like, I'll stay in the back. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll stay in the back too. At all of the shows.
Cool.
And like every now and then the music will move me. And
you're like, I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back. I gotta go jump around for a minute. Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, I smell like sweaty. Like, boy.
Sweaty drunk people. Yeah. Do you have a favorite venue?
Oh, that's a great question. I really love the Metro.
Me too.
It's just like, you could, downstairs is great, but I really love being up on the balcony.
I've never been on the balcony there. Is that amazing?
Go-to. Yeah.
Okay,
So
I should do that.
Usually get there a little early and then post up right in front of the bar.
Okay.
It's a good place.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love this. Okay, I'm learning, folks.
And it's like a good view right down to the stage.
And then what's the other one by the Metro? Riviera, right?
Yes.
That's another good one I like.
Yeah. Or is it the Vic? I get them all confused.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. Don't come for me either.
Yeah, I
know. And favorite band? Do you have one?
Yes. So I would say Streetlight Manifesto, who we did talk about.
Gosh, I'm really breaking stuff today. Everyone, sorry, just pulling mics. It's not a big deal. There we go. So we have. You're right. We've talked about Streetlight Manifesto before.
Yes.
I've seen them once, long time ago. Funny stories that probably the world shouldn't hear. So that's one of your favorites.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I have both of my thigh tattoos are their song lyrics. So those take up my whole upper thigh.
Okay.
And then the Lawrence Arms, and they're a punk band from Chicago. Okay. They got their name from the apartment building that they lived in together, and I believe it was just called the Lawrence Arms.
Oh, the whole thing was the name. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to see a band in March that one of their songs is called Girl with a Thigh Tattoo.
Oh,
so
cool.
There we go.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yes.
Okay, so current career, working through all of those networks, really working on social media, blasting them out. Any kind of current goals you want to talk about? Anything that you're really working on mastering within that? Or is it really going pretty well and you're just kind of trying to keep up with the norms and learning?
Yeah, I think the social media algorithm and stuff is forever changing, and the thoughts on social media are also always changing. So it's people are spending less time, but then they're going for important information. So it's kind of trying to right now to find a balance between okay, this post can just be strictly informational.
You don't have to be a magician with the words and make it all perfect and have the great graphic. Tell people the pizza of the month and tell them what's on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So kind of getting over my hump of wanting things to be this perfect manicured whatever without being too manicured.
Yeah, because that's the hard part is you do want that perfection and you want to be on the forefront of everything, but you also have to get the job done and finding the balance between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
So, and then just kind of just trying to go with the flow of things. If this performs well and that doesn't, then whatever.
Yep.
Still did the thing for today. The people who needed to see it saw it.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of.
And do you think you get upset when, are there times where you get really mad when a post doesn't do well when you thought it would?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just why?
Why? Or vice versa, I suppose there's still a question great, but why?
But why? Yeah. Okay. And sometimes I'll spend hours doing something and then it just
flops.
Yeah.
And the 8-minute post goes skyrocket and you're I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just I try to pay less attention to that now, and it's kind of just okay, the people who are paying attention, and those are, the people that are continuing to come back and stuff like that. So
perfect. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about female kind of empowerment. Tell me, are there some women in your life that you feel have kind of positively influenced you through your years?
Definitely. I think somebody else that you had on had said something about, for as many women that have influenced me positively, there are always ones negatively too, which I thought was a really interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah. But sometimes that negative influence can be a great thing to have as well, right?
Yeah.
The what not to do.
Yes, exactly. The what not to do, and how do I protect myself from that or something like that? You know? But I think I have a lot of great women in my life who are, great just influences on what they're doing. One of my great friends is a doctor. One of my great friends is a mother of 3 who is just killing it. And I love them both dearly. And they're on completely different life paths. But it's I don't know. I'm in awe of the things that they do and the things they can teach me and the hardships that they've overcome, and they're just
Doesn't matter what they do. Both of those can be
Exactly.
extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And if they're successful in either one, it's really meaningful.
Yeah. So I think just like trying to keep just like these positive like influences in my life is like important. And like when I was thinking about this question, one of like the most important influences in my life was my mentor in college. Her name is Kathy Ruggie Saunders.
Okay.
She, I believe, is still working. I have not connected with her since earlier this year. But she like got me through college basically. Like
Wow.
I transferred to Saint Xavier University for graphic design, and people are like, oh, isn't that school known for nursing?
Okay.
But little do they know, the art program is filled with professors that also teach at the School of the Art Institute.
Oh, I love this. You're getting their knowledge and you don't have to pay for all the cash.
Yes, exactly.
To go there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You just have to take a religion class or two, I guess.
Okay.
I
guess.
But like I was struggling deeply with unbeknownst to me anxiety and depression at that point in time. And so like getting to school and whatever was a struggle, but she was always like, it's fine, we'll work through this, whatever. And I ended up having to take off a year, and when I messaged her like, hi, I hope you remember me. And she was like, are you kidding me? Of course I remember you. Let's get you back in. Let's get this going.
Good.
And, I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in graphic design just a couple of years
With someone
later.
like that helping you, it's
Yes.
easier.
Yeah.
And like not making you feel bad
Yes.
and not making
Just
let's go.
forever supportive.
Oh,
She's just like been one of like my biggest, like I guess, cheerleaders, you would say. Nominated me for scholarships, for awards. I just don't think, I could have done it without her. And like earlier they do a student seminar. What's it called? Like an end of the year gallery, thesis gallery.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I don't have a better word.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm like, what is it? So
kind of like portfolio style.
yeah.
Okay.
So they take up the gallery at Saint Xavier, and they professionally like lay out their work on the walls and light it and everything. So I took Darren to the exhibit earlier this year, so he got to meet her for the first time.
Oh, and you probably talked about her. It was probably so cool.
Yeah, and so like
Full
that meeting,
circle.
it was like my heart, like yeah. And
You're like half trying not to cry.
Yeah,
like, this is amazing, and I love everything about it. Yeah.
Like, and she just like turned around and was just like, Dana, and it was just like,
remembered you immediately.
Yes, yeah, and it was, I don't know, just fantastic.
And what was his emotion?
And he was just like, she talks about you so much, and I want you to know that it's so meaningful. And I was like, okay, you didn't have to do like all that,
but that's really good. And same thing, making sure she knows the impact that she's had on you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And yes, and just like going to talk, she was like, oh, what do you think of the gallery? And I was talking to her, and she's like, you should come teach a class with me. And I was like, I never knew that this was a possibility that anybody would think that of me. And I was like, oh, okay, if you ever want to have me, like, let me know.
How honoring.
Yes,
It's gotta feel
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, just even like repeating it, like I just got like butterflies.
That's what you want people to do.
Yeah. So it was just
that's
like
the impact you want to make.
a huge influence in like why I'm probably doing what I am doing today.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit, so when you kind of started your career versus to where you are today, like you said, even from the corporate job to now is different. So even prior to that and as you came up in the internship and such, how different is that from what you thought to what it is and where you're at today? Like how different is that from what you thought and what it came to?
I think when I first started, like I had no idea what I was going to do. I like to think that like I had set myself up for like a career, but I like was never very like confident in what my choices. Like
it's not like this is what I'm doing, darn it, and I'm gonna do it all the way.
Yeah, so like even though I like stuck it out through graphic design and that stuff, I was still like I don't know if I could even do this.
Really?
Yeah. And so I just kept at it and, kept like, pushing that voice in the back of my head, like further back. Like, okay, I know it's not true, even though sometimes I think it is. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to get this graphic design degree, but I padded my schedule with like marketing and advertising classes. So like that's not what my degree is in, but I still picked up.
Yeah, and probably didn't really realize then, but now it's such a perfect combo, especially for what you're doing. Yeah. You can create all of the materials and you know how to get them out to people and make them watch.
Yeah, so I think like part of it was like, okay, I don't know if I could be a full-blown artist, but I could use the things I do know to do these other things. Like
it's a really great package.
Yeah, and so like not having to depend on other people to create graphics or whatever for me is huge.
Same. I have graphic design background with the same idea. It's just like, I can go do that myself, I guess. I would prefer not to, but if I need to, I can. And it's so helpful because whether it's creating my own brand or things like the branding for All About the Girls, I didn't make it, but I could have. And as we've transitioned and changed things through the years, it's like, actually, my opinion means something because I know a little bit. And I think that's really valuable.
I agree. I think like it helps working with like other artists too. Like I could say,
explaining
like,
what you want.
Specifically like what I want.
You're like, do a fade and put a gradient or whatever.
Exactly.
Also, don't come for me. I know gradient. You talked a couple of times about it sounds like maybe when you were younger, not feeling as confident as maybe you had hoped. It seems today that you're pretty confident. Do you agree? And what made that transition or growth through time? How'd you become more confident?
I don't know if I agree, but I do go to therapy regularly.
Amen. Everybody should.
Everybody definitely should.
Everybody needs someone to talk to. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it has been a huge like life-changing thing for me to go through. I think like now it's been 3 years since I started going to therapy. And my therapist, just my last appointment, was like, in front of me, I see like this confident person who could do all of these things. And so I'm like, okay, well, as long as I'm like projecting, I guess.
I think you totally, like you come off as very confident, like 100% you, who you are, you have your own style, you have your own confidence, and it kind of shines. So it was kind of surprising for me to hear you say that, like, maybe before you weren't that confident.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Good job.
Thanks.
Great job.
Yeah, just, I guess, like, constantly, like, working on myself and kind of, like, unlearning these bad habits and stuff, like, just negative self-talk and stuff.
Yep.
It's a killer. And,
and it seems so small, but, like, as it builds up, you're right, like, it seems small when you do it once about this little thing, but then you end up doing it for all of the things.
Yes.
And then it's just constant.
Yeah.
And how you get out of that.
And, exactly.
Brilliant. Tell us about any adversity, any obstacles. What is that big thing that you've had to overcome through the years, or what is that big thing that just really kind of rocked and changed your life?
So I guess like I had a rough start at things. I grew up in an abusive home.
Okay.
And so, when you're younger, you kind of don't really like think of those things. You're kind of just like, this is my life.
And it's probably similar to other people's, and I don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then, somebody will say something and you're like, oh wait, is this not normal? And so then you start to think about that, and then whatever. I thought I was totally over things. My thesis project in college was a massive canvas about one of the worst things that like ever happened to me, and I was like, I'm beating this situation.
This is gonna free me.
Yes. It did that.
Yeah.
Like at the time I was like, this is great, and it was powerful. I remember Kathy telling me that some woman did come and she just stood in front of it for like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And like at the end like left with like tears in her eyes. And like said that it like moved her so much.
Really?
And so like that was huge, and it felt great that like, my message could help somebody else.
You've impacted someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, I was like struggling with anxiety, and nobody talked about anxiety 10 years ago.
No.
So I had no idea why I was waking up with like my heart racing at 5 a.m. before all of my college classes.
Yeah.
Or,
and it just seems like this thing that happens to you, but you have no idea why, how to fix it, who else is going through it. Is it weird? Is it normal?
Yeah, exactly. And so then like, I had all of these like anxieties built up from, stuff I went through in my childhood. And finally, like, meeting Darren, he was like, seek out some like medication. And so obviously whenever you are medicated for anxiety, they always suggest going to therapy too. And I kept pushing off the therapy because I was like, that is causing me even more anxiety to talk to somebody. Thinking of that situation where you talk to someone you don't know about all of your deep, dark shit. Who wants to do that? Yeah.
Right.
And then like finally I went to a new doctor who was like, she actually gave me like a number sheet to like rate my anxiety and stuff. And I was like, I've never seen one of these before. And she was like, really? And you've been medicated for a few years by now?
You should have.
And I was like, oh, okay. So my anxiety and depression were pretty bad. So she did adjust my medication and then wouldn't readjust it until I had my first therapy appointment. So
very good.
Props to her.
Okay, yes, super smart thinking. That'll push you to do what you need to do.
Yes. And so I think like though without that medication, I would have never gotten into therapy, and now therapy has been working like so well for me.
That's amazing.
And it's like nice to know, the physical feelings of anxiety I was going through, like, was something. It's just like, I don't know, a diagnosis, having like,
it's not a daily part of life, and it's not just supposed to be that way.
Yes, exactly. And like having those diagnoses, it just like felt good in a way, because it was like, oh, now I know it's this, this, and this, and not just like.
And you can find a route. So I know where I'm at, and I can find a route to where I want to be.
Yeah. And that's so really like just working through those things, and therapy has been huge. And like, I don't know, for the first time, it like, feels like you could like breathe again. Like I just hit like a major hurdle in therapy a few weeks ago, and it was just like, things just feel different, like lighter.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
that's really good.
Struggling with anxiety and depression was probably like the biggest thing. Obviously, it's still part of like my life and stuff, but like finding tools and people I can talk to is a huge help.
That's good. Very good. And you talked a little bit about kind of working from home and figuring out all the words and how to do all of that. And I think we joked one time, I asked you, I one time asked you randomly, like, how do you make that work? And you're like, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning with an idea and I just go write it down.
Yeah.
What does that work-life kind of balance look like for you? Do you work from home, which I know sometimes, especially in the remote world now, it gets hard to turn it off. It's hard to make those switches back and forth. How do you create like a work-life relationship? What does that look like for you?
It needs to look better.
Okay. And it's the work side that takes over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you kind of get a little obsessive maybe?
Yeah, I have big Virgo energy. So.
Okay.
I have to tell myself to stop. Like, I have to be like, this is when we need to end. I have a hard shut-off time, or else I won't.
Okay.
Some weeks are great where it's like, oh, this is a 40-hour week. Last week was bad. I don't even want to tell you. It was like a couple of days I worked until 1 or 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
No one should be doing that.
That's like
doing that.
a 20-hour shift or something.
Yes,
it's
it was
crazy.
stupid.
Yeah.
And so now my eyes hurt and I'm burnt out and I don't want to work anymore.
Right. And that's where you'll get if you keep doing that. And so you got to tell yourself to not.
Yeah. So I have a hard time shutting off. But it's just like, that's another thing. Like in therapy, he's like, just because Darren works longer hours doesn't mean you have to.
Right. And especially if Darren's at the restaurant working late, you probably were started way earlier. So you don't need to work that late. And that's not your balance. That's his balance.
Exactly.
And all of those things.
Yeah. Like what works for him doesn't work for me. So I'm going to be better about it going into next week. I just like, starting... Not all or nothings, but like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be better about it next week. I'm gonna be I'm gonna have my
it doesn't have to be only 40 all the time.
Yeah.
But it's, hey, next week I worked 65 or 70 this week, or it sounds like maybe more. I don't even want to know. Next week, it has to stay under 60 or whatever that is. Like those baby steps to get it in a much more realistic balance.
Yeah, because it's just like working like that obviously is not sustainable.
No.
And it's like toxic, obviously. And nobody's doing it to me other than like myself.
It's good that you recognize that. You're not like mad at anyone else.
No.
You know, like I just don't stop when I should stop.
Yeah. This is like a conversation I had with somebody. I was like, I am a bad boss to myself because I'm just like, we need to get this done.
And then you work on it for 20 hours and you don't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So like I've whittled down my to-do list to something that I will not be working crazy hours to next week.
That can be like the 2023 kind of
goal.
Just keep it realistic.
Yeah.
Don't burn yourself out.
Saying no, I think, will definitely help because I'm just like, I'll fit that in. Okay, I'll reprioritize.
And you can't do that for everybody else because then you exclude yourself.
Correct.
And I think that's the part that hurts the most.
Oh yeah, like lots of things that like I wanted to get done or like personal to-dos I totally put off for work, which I'm like, okay, we can't go another week doing this.
Nope.
No.
Good.
So
very good. So you're getting there.
Yeah. So
not where you want it yet, but on the way to better.
Sometimes balance is great. Sometimes it's out the window.
I'm very much the same. I'll get on something and I'm like, we're doing this. It does not matter. So yeah, I completely get it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so here we go. If you've not seen this before. It's a buzzer.
Oh, you got a buzzer.
Yeah, we've got a buzzer.
It's terrifying noise.
Luckily, I don't use it very often. Okay. So we do give you quite a bit of time. So this is the quick response questions. Okay. It's kind of our fun little close to the podcast. So I ask you a bunch of questions. As I mentioned off camera, these are new, so you haven't heard them, but no one else has either. So some of them might be, I don't know that I switched every single one, but I switched most of them. So you're like the new 2023 questions, first person to get them. So maybe we'll give you a little more leeway even. I don't know, we'll see. Or we'll be harsher, I'm not sure. Okay, so would you rather have telekinesis, the ability to move? Man, this mic is Let's try it again.
I
general talk.
I do the same thing too.
Yeah, it's really, it's a lot. That gives me a lot of extra steps, I think, though, so it's fine. Okay, would you rather have telekinesis, the ability to move things with your mind, or telepathy, the ability to read minds?
Ooh, I think move things with my mind.
It's probably visually the coolest one.
Yes. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just part of like life is like messing with like little kids. So you could like definitely freak out little kids like
Yes. And I want to flash back briefly because I didn't ask you. So you have a stepson.
Yes, yeah.
11, you said?
11, yes.
How was that? Do you have, so you have none of your own?
No.
Okay, so your stepson, how old was he when you met him?
4.
Okay. So you've been around long enough.
Mm-hmm.
How is it? How is it being a stepmom? How is it having kids in the house? Like, is it way harder than you expected? Do you love it so much, but trying at times, or?
Well, right now, he's an interesting kid. I think, like, I don't remember what it's like to be 11, so
Me
it's
neither.
a lot of, like, pushing boundaries, I think, and, like, learning what those boundaries are.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
I think that's, like, all kid life.
So that one's interesting. But then, and, like, he's a little too cool for things.
Okay.
But then, we got him, like, a fort making kit for Christmas, and so he, like, built a fort in his room, and I was like, okay, so he's not too cool for everything.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, don't tell anyone about this fort, but it is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I don't know. Like, I wanted kids when I was younger, and then like got to a point where I was like, I don't want any kids. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I'm not sure how I thought it was gonna be, but we're just rolling with the punches, I guess.
It's kind of what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it usually works out the best anyway. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, if the old you could see the new you, what would the old you say?
I think she would be proud. This one got me a little teary.
Oh, good. And I'm nervous for people in the future, but that's good. I think that's a great way to say it. Like, she'd be happy.
Yeah, like just like proud of the things that we've overcome and like
Yep.
you know, the what's like the word I'm thinking of, like strength to get through things.
Yeah, kind of the distance that you've come.
Yeah.
That's good. Great answer. Would you rather be chronically underdressed or overdressed?
Ooh, overdressed.
Being extra is never bad.
Yeah.
That is like my life motto.
Like I love being comfy and like being in sweats, but it's just like if I'm gonna go out, especially like, you know, post COVID, like entering, like if you're gonna go out, do it
up.
Yeah.
Same. What woman would you want to have on your side in a battle royale?
Laura Jane Grace.
I don't know who that is.
She is the lead singer of Against Me. She is just a rad ass person.
Okay.
And I think she's
like gonna make it happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say like intellectually or like in a physical thing, she's gonna get it done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You now own a billboard. What does it say?
Oh. Oh no. Oh. Okay, the first thing I thought of was
I was reaching for the buzzer.
To like take somebody else's thing, but like the "You Are Beautiful." I would just
great.
put that up there.
That's
or
a
like,
great one.
You're doing great, or you know,
It's like something positive.
yeah,
reinforcement.
something positive.
Okay,
just like,
that's a great one.
Or, you know, or like those little stickers that's like your butt looks great.
Yeah,
like
I love that. That's awesome. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future? Not past, sorry. I was going to say past, but that's not correct. So do you want to see like 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
Ooh. I think 150 years in the future.
Because it would be interesting, like 10 minutes. It depends.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know. Are we going to have an earthquake or something?
I was going to say, I think it's funny because like my anxiety was like 10 minutes because then you could see if people are actually mad at you.
I'm going to zoom to 10 minutes after I leave this office and then I'm going to see what you're saying about me.
But yeah, 150 years just like, I don't know.
What does that look like?
Yeah, if you think about like what 150 years was in the past and like what is it? Yeah,
that would be really interesting. I agree. When do you pack for a vacation?
Oh, I used to be so much better at it, but now it's like hours before.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That gives me an ulcer.
I know, it's bad. It's terrible. Well, it's okay. So I will start gathering some things.
Okay.
In like a corner. A month before. And
I'm a little like this,
yes.
but I build on it like all the time.
So like Riot Fest, we go every year. This year I was like, okay, I'm gonna just make a box of some things, like, you know, weird things that you don't
I want to make sure I wear this
have.
t-shirt or something like that.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, you know, we'll pack like these tissues and these wipes and this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that day before I'm like, oh my god, I haven't done anything else since the box.
I started the box. There's 4 things in it. Thank you for the 4 things.
Yes.
I need 100
Now
more.
I need outfits. We need socks. What shoes are we bringing?
And this probably plays into the perpetually late thing that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That's okay. Everybody has their own. What superhero would you most want to be?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, don't hit the buzzer.
Did you try to say one?
I did.
What was it?
I said Deadpool. I don't know if he counts. It was
I think he counts, right? Yeah, he counts.
Yeah, I mean.
They said it counts. I say
cool.
it counts.
I was gonna say, like, I usually hate.
Plus he's funny, so.
I was gonna say I have a mouth like a sailor, so he fits in with that.
Love that.
You know, sometimes you want to get real violent with people, and Deadpool's a great guy for
He's
that.
like the balance of like, he's technically still a good guy. He does some incorrect things, which are very rewarding, and gets to curse like a sailor and make funny jokes.
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty good
Like,
combo.
what is that on that Punnett square? Like, chaotic good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would be chaotic good, but
I feel like yeah. What would you rather be forced to sing along? Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear?
Sing along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you not a dancer, or you just don't want to have to dance to every song? Or are you like punch dancing only at punk shows?
You know, I think I'm neither really.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess like at shows, I'm like kind of like a dancer and like a singer, but it's like very quiet.
It's like your own little world.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one look at me, but I'm gonna sing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think like I could get away with singing more than I could like dancing.
Okay, that's good. Last one.
Okay.
What do you prefer, being extremely cold or extremely hot?
Oh my god.
I think I know this one.
Extremely hot, I would say.
That was my guess.
Yeah. My body does not regulate temperature, so when I'm cold, I'm freezing, and when I'm hot, I'm sweating.
Okay.
Like
there's no happy medium. There's
no
never
happy medium.
Okay.
Yeah, and so at least when I'm hot, I could like jump in the lake or something.
Yeah, and you
like,
could be at the beach,
you know,
and you could
Yeah, I feel like when I'm cold, I get like that type of cold where it's like in your bones.
and you just like can't move.
Yeah. And I have to like take a hot shower to try to warm up, and like that's still like
Yep.
bad.
Cold hurts me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like I said, I've acclimated better, but I still don't love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've done it. This is not your first podcast, though. You said you've already done one before.
Yes. I think this is now my third.
Fancy! Yeah. You're the most podcasted person I've had on so far, so that's fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention? Anybody else you want to shout out?
I don't think so.
And how do people connect with you and all of the companies? Tell us how to kind of find you guys online. Is that you? Is that the companies? Is that the restaurants? How do you want people to connect?
Yeah, so they can find us at Tomato Bar Pizza on Instagram and Facebook, Ricochet Tacos on Instagram and Facebook, Blockhead Beerworks on Instagram and Facebook, Blockhead Still Works on Instagram. And then we are on TikTok. I don't post that much, but it's Beer Pizza Tacos. I
Love
believe.
that. Okay. The combo page.
Yeah, and then I don't know why you want to follow me, but if you can, my public account is Dana J Frank on Instagram.
And you mentioned the Blockhead Distill Works.
Yes.
Any sneak peeks or anything we can hear a little bit more about that?
Well, we did just officially release our vodka.
Okay.
Yes. So that was our first spirit release.
And that's happening down. You're doing that in Valpo, right?
Yes.
It used to be Figure 8. Now it's Blockhead.
Correct.
And all of you're distilling right there in that location.
Yes. Yes.
And you just released vodka.
Mm-hmm. So if you peek in through the window at Blockhead, you could see into our brew house, which is all of our brewery setup, and then the distilling setup is also in there.
Fantastic.
We just released the vodka and did a little event for that in the beginning of the year, I believe. And then next up, I believe it's gin. We have that working in the mix. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, keep us posted. That's super exciting. Well, we have it. Another episode done. Thank you so much, Dana, for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course, everybody tell your friends, family to like, follow, tell them that they're going to love this podcast. Tune in and rate us, subscribe, all those great things. We'll see you next month on All About the Girls, the podcast. Thanks.